It's been 71 races, 2 years since Dale Earnhardt Jr. last won. Of course, it was in Richmond. We are counting the hours, the days, the minutes, the seconds, so time is ticking. He has 7 top 10 finishes this year, more than any other driver. But here's what has happened since Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s won a race. Look at all the victories for Tiger Woods. Of course, Jimmy Johnson has won a couple of championships. And the price of oil and gas, that just keeps skyrocketing. Hopefully somebody will do something about that. So let me ask you, 300 career starts, right? You had 55 wins. He has 17. Let's talk about assessing his career to this point.
High expectations. I mean, his name is Earnhardt. And when you're an Earnhardt, you're expected to win, and you expect to win races, you're expected to win championships. Then you go to a team with high expectations that won half the races last year. How many have they won this year so far? 1.
All right.
So he's got his work cut out for him. I said he'd win 6 races, and I still believe he will, but it'll all be in the second half.
You've been in that situation before. I remember something about a dream team one time.
Yes.
You got one win that year, but you finally turn it around later on, so it takes time.
Junior has led the most laps of any driver who hasn't yet won a race, so he's done everything but win. But is he one of the top, fans ask all the time, is one of the top 5 drivers in the sport right now?
I get tired of him being criticized about not being a good race car driver. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a very talented race car driver, and when you kind of rank him the way I'm looking at it, I think he winds up about 5th to 7th right in that area. I think there's some guys a little bit better, but he can get the job done on any racetrack.
He's one of the best, and he's one of the richest.
Yeah, the most popular.
Exactly.
He'll bring the cash. He'll bring the sponsors and eventually the wins. All right, the 60th year of NASCAR, the great American racing sport, and no sport is more loyal to its roots and its fans. But even here, given today's competitive climate, technology never stands still. Larry McReynolds has the latest tool that's gathering information for the cars that we watch on the track.
You know, for a while now on our broadcast of NASCAR on Fox, you've been hearing us talk about the 7-post rig machines. Well, you know what? The good people here at Haas CNC Racing, they're giving us a free pass to see what it's all about. Come on, follow me. This was my computer, my stopwatch. It was a lot better than whatever feedback I was getting from my driver. Do you have one of these, by the way?
Larry, we traded it in for a calculator.
I was going to say, that's way too fancy. But now, Neil, simplest question first. Why do we call it a 7-poster?
It's called a 7-post because you have 4 wheel actuators that are up under each tire. Then you have 3 aero actuators located 2 in the back and then 1 in the front.
Now, I know this will be hard for DW to understand. 4 and 3 equals 7. So I got it. Okay.
That's correct.
What track are we simulating?
We're actually going through simulations of Richmond. We're just trying to find some advantages.
Now, how many different things are you monitoring as it goes through a run here on the 7-poster?
We usually monitor about 50 items, and they get transferred into our computer. We sit there and analyze them.
I don't have anything to start with. What's it going to cost me to put a 7-poster in?
Well, about $1.5 to $2 million.
$1.5 million?
Oh.
Booty! What are you doing?
You got no business being here.
This guy's giving me information overload. He's giving me a bigger headache than Chris Myers. All right, it's just a tool. You get good, solid information that you can relate to the racetrack.
You get good information, Larry, but you can make a tire stick to the ground real well, or you can make all the downforce in the world as far as the platform on this. But you have to use your own judgment as far as what to take and what not to take.
Time now to check in our AutoZone pit zone. Larry McReynolds has joined Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Hammond just below the Hollywood Hotel at our cutaway car. Jeff?
Well, the thing is right now, Chris, I'm going to turn around and look at this driver and say, okay, what did you learn from our piece?
Well, you know, all of my experience has been when I drive a race car, it's trial and error.
Yep.
Try this, try that, and see if something sticks. But with this new machine, Larry, I mean, it's a whole new world. It helps verify so many things, and every team seems to have one.
Well, it is, and it's just a tool. Booty Barker told me it's no different than the wind tunnel, than the chassis dyno. It's just to gather more information. And best I could tell, talking throughout the garage area, about half the field has access to a 7-post shaker. But the biggest thing, even though they've been using this for several years, this new car put them back to ground zero. Now they're trying to build that notebook back up that they had built up with the old car. But the one variable, every time Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company changes this tire, it changes the information that they have to gather.
Well, the thing is, too, you got to think about it like this. The half that's using it is probably the half that's winning. And the other thing about it, Larry, look at it like this. We used to do it with a notebook. Well, nowadays, it's all done with the computer.
How you know it's right?
That's up to you.
It's up to you, baby.
Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart,
Denny Hamlin.
Here's the latest in the Sprint Cup point standings here. The 10th race. Remember, after this, 16 before the chase. Jeff Burton holding off Kyle Busch. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in pursuit. Juan Pablo Montoya 12th, best in his NASCAR career. Only the top 12 make the chase. That right now would leave Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, and some other big name drivers on the outside looking in, including Jeff Gordon. So what wows you most about the chase so far?
Well, of course, everybody says Jeff Gordon, and certainly Matt Kenseth. Jeff Gordon's right there. What, he's 14, 15 points out. Kenseth is known to come on strong. He made this chase in 05 by getting in the last race here on the 26th race. So I don't count anybody out. If I'm at the bottom of that list, the top 12, I'd be looking behind me.
You got that right. I mean, when you think about who's on the outside right now, these teams are going to start ramping up. They're going to figure out a way to fix their problems. That's what makes them championship contenders. And the guys that are already in there, just like Juan Pablo Montoya, they know they've already made some changes within that Ganassi organization to try to make them better when they made the crew chief swap. So everybody's looking to get stronger, and there's going to be a huge dogfight for that number 12 spot.
And you know Jeff Gordon. You can't keep Jeff Gordon down. He's going through a string of bad luck right now, wrecks and other things. Tonight, he's going to the rear of the field tonight, and that's his worst starting position. I can't remember when here at Richmond. There he is talking to car owner Rick Hendrick, and I'm sure they're talking about tonight. And I'm sure Michael's telling him how he pushed the 48 right to the front last week.
But the other thing, you bring that up, Robbie Reiser now is starting to help the 17 now that Bob Osborne's back working for the number 99. So you're going to see some of these teams that are kind of like in that, up in the quicksand right now. They're going to start pulling themselves out of that.
But they have time to turn it around, to see the familiar faces where we want them. Just in case you were wondering about record-setting receiver Randy Moss, what he's been doing since the Super Bowl, how about this? He's created Moss Motorsports. He hopes to begin involvement in a Craftsman Truck Series. His quote was, "I think it's a good fit. There are a lot of NASCAR fans in the locker room." And here's proof. Guys like Dan Marino owning a team with Bill Elliott, Brett Favre with Dale Jarrett in the Nationwide Series. Fox's own Terry Bradshaw spent some time, had him pulling his hair out at times. Troy Aikman, remember teaming with Roger Staubach, Hall of Fame racing. Joe Gibbs, 3 Super Bowl titles, 3 NASCAR Cup championships. And now Randy Moss tries his hand in racing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So what's easier, beating the Giants in the Super Bowl or winning a race?
Probably winning the Super Bowl, because in my opinion, it's so difficult in our profession to be able to make things happen. It doesn't quite work as easy as they might think, Darrell.
It's quite obvious, looking at that list, players do not make good car owners. Coaches make good car owners, and Joe Gibbs is a good example. But I think those guys think this is a golden opportunity. They see gold, and they see opportunity, and that's why they want to be here.
What do you always say about if you want to make a small fortune in NASCAR?
In NASCAR, start with a big one.
Yeah.
So if you got a lot of money, come on over. We'll take it.
Give me quick numbers here. What does it take the car costs about $600,000, right? Cup car?
No, we're talking, Sprint Cup car, $600,000.
To run a race team for a year in Cup, what is it?
We're talking about probably $19 to $20 million. It's just a lot of money, guys, and you still have to worry about if you're used to winning. It's not that easy to come over here just because your name's Randy Moss and win.
You could ask Darrell, Jeff, Larry Mack, our crew, with our Ask the Pros, built by the Home Depot at foxsports.com, plus Tony Stewart and his crew chief, Greg Zipadelli. Ask him anything you want. NASCAR questions about broadcasting, about what they do in their off time. Well, with Jeff, that might be too much to do. Anyway, go to foxsports.com/askthepros, and we thank the people at Home Depot for helping us out with that.
Don't be hard on my man. I mean, he's been working hard out there at the car lot.
We welcome those of you watching in Arizona and New York. Hope you enjoyed the Diamondbacks and the Mets. Saturday afternoon baseball leading us into NASCAR on Fox Under the Lights. Next week in Darlington as well. Here we're counting it down to Richmond. The start, 400 laps, 300 miles. Tony Stewart hasn't won this year, but he loves this track. Mark Martin starting up on the front row. Kevin Harvick, some consistency. Jimmy Johnson, there's the man of the moment.